Hi, Tracy from Nature's Heart. Welcome to my backyard. Beautiful autumn day. I was on vacation last week. I took some time away and offline to replenish and restore, something I highly recommend. And I'm back just in time for a little bit of controversy in our local aromatherapy world. So I wanted to come in and speak to some aromatherapy facts. And the inspiration for this is from an article that I saw posted just in the last couple of days from a national newspaper in Canada. And it was interesting reading because it really perpetuated a lot of the myths and false ideas about aromatherapy and essential oils. And while it was tempting for me to name the article and go through it piece by piece and speak to their points, I don't see any point in doing that. What I would like to do is come back and just talk about some of the truths about aromatherapy. And I have addressed a number of these in previous videos, so I encourage you to have a look either in Facebook, or I invite you to check out my YouTube where you can find previous videos where I've spoken to most of the points that I'm going to just summarize today. So first thing that I want to talk about is whenever we see an article like the one that I saw, it's important to look at the source. So where is this coming from? What the person who wrote it? Where is this information coming from? Who is this person? What's their purpose for writing this? And that applies to everything, not just aromatherapy. The other thing is to consider when we're getting information or we're seeking information, where can we find reliable, truthful, trustworthy information? And the internet is not always the place for that. It comes down to building relationship with people who you trust. Over time, you can have an opportunity to build a relationship and establish a connection with a person. And that can be difficult to do online. So I've talked a little bit about working with a professional aromatherapist, and that's what came to mind when I read this article. There were no professional aromatherapists quoted in this particular article. Whether any were consulted, I don't know, but there were none quoted. And I see that as problematic because there are trained professionals. I'm one of them. We receive a lot of training and information, and we have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience about essential oils and how to use them safely. And the fact that wasn't addressed in this article, I find really disappointing and disappointing. Let's just leave it at that. So a couple of things that this particular article talked about that I want to speak to. One is that aromatherapy is a non-regulated industry, and that's true. And I see this as having positives and negatives. The positives for me is it gives us choice. As a consumer, I like to have options around my healthcare. I like to have control over the ability to choose pharmaceutical or non-pharmaceutical. I'm obviously a huge fan of alternative and complementary medicine. I like practices that follow the holistic healing model, which is difficult to find in traditional Western medicine practices. I like to have those options. And regulation would eliminate a lot of those options for me as a consumer. So that's one thing. One problem that non-regulation brings up is the ability to know what you're buying. And with respect to essential oils, it can be difficult to know what are the best essential oils. Are these safe? Are they real, pure essential oils? And again, that comes back to working with the professional, because we're trained to know what to look for. And as a consumer, it's difficult to have enough information to be able to go into a store and to know with great confidence that what you're buying is actually what you think you're buying. So those are both sides of the regulation issue. The other thing that was suggested in this article is to look, when you're buying an essential oil, to look for something called an NPN, which in Canada is a natural product number. And this is given by Health Canada to companies who pay a lot of money to have their products tested and then licensed. And I'm not an expert on Health Canada and their regulations with respect to their licensing. But I've learned over the last few months that there are ways to work with companies who have been given these licenses and such. So having an NPN may be helpful. The problem with that is it's very costly, and a lot of our really good essential oils come from very small growers. For example, I have a rose hydrosol that comes from a family farm in Turkey. That kind of place is very common for essential oils, to have really beautiful plant material grown there and to have the aromatic plants distilled there. They can't afford to have the testing and to go to the government and have product numbers assigned to them. It's just not cost effective. So that would exclude a whole lot of really, really beautiful oils that we would not have access to. So if you're looking for an essential oil and you want good information, talk to a professional aromatherapist. It's easy to find one. I'm here. I can help if you are not local. And most professional aromatherapy associations have an option on their website that says find an aromatherapist. In British Columbia, we have the BCAOA, and their website is bcaoa.org. It's a beautiful new website, and on there you can see things like code of ethics and standards of practice, which are important for professional organizations to have listed. And there's also an option where you can find an aromatherapist, and you can find someone in your area, someone who practices maybe even some other modalities in addition to aromatherapy. So that's a good place to start. Asking questions about the person's training and why did they do aromatherapy? Why are they so excited about essential oils and aromatherapy? Those are always good things to ask. I just made some notes here to make sure that I've covered everything. When we're looking at essential oils, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence, which you can see in talking to people. And there's also a lot of research. A book like this, and this is the second edition of the Essential Oil Safety book by Robert Tisserand and Rodney Young. A book like this would not exist if essential oils were not effective. This compiles research, a lot of research around essential oils and how to use them safely. And the fact that this book exists really does speak to the validity of essential oils and aromatherapy as a healing modality. So, as tempting as it is to get emotionally drawn into these kinds of inflammatory articles or pieces of information, I encourage you and invite you to come back to the truth. What do we know? What are the facts? And look to the source. If you do have questions about aromatherapy or essential oil use, I am happy to answer those. Please comment or feel free to message me about essential oil and aromatherapy questions. I'm happy to answer those. And again, I invite you to look to other videos where I speak more in depth on essential oil safety and choosing essential oils, and of course working with a professional aromatherapist who can guide you in both choosing and using the essential oils that are appropriate and safe for you to use. Thanks for watching and have a great day.